Who's up?
Can we have Instameet can be the first to go. Perfect.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay. My name's Jacob, and this is
Sarab Kumar. I'm David.
And our persona was Russell. He lives in London. He's an entrepreneur and also a venture capitalist. In the morning, he likes to golf quite a lot. That's also where he does all his meetings. And for,
He does a lot of meetings when he's golfing and makes a lot of contacts there, but it's hard for him to actually take contact information down. He has to take it his phone and type in the new person's name, and then take their phone and type in his name and type in his phone number, and that's kind of annoying. He wants to find a new way of doing that, and he also coincidentally has an Android Wear smartwatch, and that's what we're here for. So that's what our app uses. You want to keep going from there?
Okay, so our app is called the Instameet, and one of the primary functions of that app is the business card exchange. So, so you're on a golf course, and you have a meeting, so you end up meeting someone. So what you do is you activate or use your voice on the device. And at that point, you see your profile come up, which will have your name, your phone number, and the company. And at that point, you have an option to send that contact information with the person you just met. The information can be sent either through NFC or it can be sent through Bluetooth. And the person would get your information, and at the same time, his information would come back to you. So on your screen on the Android device, you would see his information. And at that point, you can record a voice memo, like why you met this person or something important that you want to keep a record of. You could record his location, his time, and some other features that you would need. So it's a way to quickly exchange business cards as well as track information and record notes. And not only that, the app also has the option that instead of the business information, if you want to exchange your personal information, you can do that. Or even if you're say a nightclub, you want to give your fake information, you can do that too. So it has a option of switching the profile that you want to share with the other person.
You're right on time. Perfect. Questions from the audience? If you would buy this app, would you use it? Any recommendations?
So sometimes I consider myself a business person, and sometimes I don't think so, but I use Outlook. Okay, so most business people use some form of contact management system. How would this tie into Outlook, for instance?
We didn't think about that because we had half an hour to work on the project. We did decide it would feed to your phone and sync with your phone contacts. And I think that there is an easy way to sync phone contacts with Outlook. So I would assume so. Yeah, so in that case,
sync from your end. If you had the contacts on the Android phone, Google. If you had the Google contacts, it would sync with that on the watch. Yeah, so yeah, you would have that available. Even if it's not available, we could implement a syncing mechanism.
So is this a Wear app or is this?
It's a Wear, yeah.
It's a Wear app,
yeah,
right?
on the watch, yeah.
Would you still need to pull your phone out to do it, or
no, you don't
need
to pull your phone. No.
Like
not at all. You're just looking at your watch, and you can just either tap or you can even do like a motion, like this, like a flick motion, and your contact goes to the person who's in front of you.
Okay. And have you looked at like, you know, in the half an hour that you had, you know, have you looked at online, like, to see, you know, if there is any app out there existing already, like, which is trying to do what you're trying to do?
I don't think so, because one of our teammates has a Moto 360 Android Wear watch.
Okay.
And this wasn't there. And not only that, in this room, we didn't see anyone exchanging contacts.
Awesome.
Everyone was giving business cards. So.
I would definitely use it.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
because, you know, I'm like so against the business cards, and something like this would really motivate me to use it.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, I'd probably use it too. But it seems to me like it's got a lot of Salesforce.com kind of functionality where you make contacts and you know, add all your notes and that kind of thing. But to have it, you know, to be wearing the watch and to be able to exchange that information right off the bat without exchanging cards and annotate the, you know, whatever the value of the contact is, I would probably use it.
Oh,
I'm not sure it's a huge problem to solve, though. I mean, it's solving a problem, but so I think it's more of a limited problem.
Have another question?
Sure.
So in order for someone else to use it, in order for you to sync with someone else or to exchange the information, do they have to have a similar technology? Do they have to have that watch? Or can it be an Android, not an iPhone,
Yeah,
but
so
an Android device?
it can
How
work in
compatible?
multiple ways. So if you think of a watch, right? A watch is just a client to the phone, actually, an Android device. So as long as you can have communication between the two devices, either through Bluetooth or even through a cloud or through NFC, the syncing can happen.
Does the other person have to have Does the other person have to have your app?
As long as he has the Bluetooth enabled, and if he has the app, that will help because it will just make it more seamless. But otherwise, we could figure out a way to have some kind of a like agent running which can do the syncing.
Because some of the problems we've seen, that I've seen, is where you design an app assuming the whole world is going to download that app, and that usually doesn't happen. So it ends up becoming sort of an aggravation where now you have to tell your friend or your business associate, hey, you have to download that app, and that could be a barrier to getting it going.
Right, right. So yeah, we could potentially interface with the contacts books on different phones. So that would be one way to kind of allow a person to download a separate app.
Now, it looks like you're getting some good feedback that this is something that people would use. And with that being said, what are some next steps that you might want to do to see about, like, you know, getting other people interested in, you know, bringing it to life?
So the next steps can be a couple of things. We can have a proof of concept or a prototype which can be launched as a beta among few users. And then we, you know, collect some feedback and certain changes we need to make, kind of test it out, and potentially roll out on the Android App Store and see what kind of adoption we are getting on the. So it can potentially be moved to a pilot and see.
You have one device. Do you have two to kind of work on it together, or do you guys have one device currently, or with the watch, or? We only have one device. One device. Right?
Yeah, so it works on it's on the watch only, yeah. But it does require the phone though to work.
Of time, so we'll invite the next group. Thank you so much. All right, so we have Chika, who's going to represent her group. She's the only one remaining from her group, so let's show her some appreciation.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. So our concept, well, first of all, the individual that we were designing for, his name was Caleb. He is a former Olympic athlete. He's currently living in Hawaii. He's in his 30s. He's got a young toddler, and he's a professional triathlete. So right away, what we wanted to do was focus on something to help him manage his fitness goals, because those are obviously very important to him. And so our first idea was to sort of focus on using the built-in heart rate monitor in a lot of the wearable watches that are out. And basically what this app would do would be very simple. It would have a little graphic heart, and it would sort of just keep track of his exertion. And what it would do specifically is monitor where his heart rate is at. So for example, if he's not working his heart hard enough, you would have sort of a visual reflection of that. Maybe the heart wouldn't be all the way filled in, or it would be a darker color. When he's in his optimal workout range, it would reflect that. It might be green or something. And if he was overexerting himself, then it would show all the way filled in, it would be red. And it would then have options. Maybe it would vibrate and notify, hey, you're working out too hard. Do you want to stop and get some water? Something like that. The second component that we wanted to focus on was maybe need a little bit more refinement, but this one would sort of be a social component. So let's say he's in an area getting ready to ride his bike, and there's a recommended route nearby, or one that he's ridden before that his friends have ridden on. It would notify him, hey, there's a route nearby. He's getting ready to start his route. He might have a few friends that are in a club with him that he's managed outside of the wearable. And so you have 5 friends nearby. They all have the same device. Do you want to start a race? And so maybe he would be riding, and the phone, the watch interface would then maybe have a radar-like interface so that he can see about how far away he is from all of his friends, where they are on the route. And if he's on the route, maybe he could quickly use a voice command to drop notes for the people that come behind him and have that for the next time. Oh, and also the interface would also show him achievements. So for example, if he's jogged his fastest mile, it would just say, hey, you jogged your fastest mile. Who doesn't like badges? Everyone likes badges. Okay.
Questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering in terms of how there's certain wearable APIs that require an Android phone to be near, and there's certain ones that don't. It sounds like this is something that maybe might work well for them not to have to carry his Android with. I was wondering if any considerations were made about what the APIs can support when it's going to be away from an Android, you know, maybe on a run. You didn't want to bring his full Android with him.
Yeah, I believe I'm not talking out of turn when I say that, you know, in that situation, I mean, these devices right now, at least this generation, are pretty much designed to be tethered to a phone. That's, you know, it's essentially where it's at right now. I think you can do the heart rate monitor, so, you know, that app actually might work disconnected, but yeah, it's really meant to run in conjunction with an Android phone. So I think it's the best I can answer that one.
So I like the social aspect of it. I mean, the heart rate monitor is nothing new and exciting. The GPS stuff, location, is not exciting. But the social aspect of it, where you can find a route or have other people that you know that are in your club or you're in your social sphere, I think that's a great idea. Have you thought about how you're actually going to connect between yourself and then the other person that you want to connect with? Actually, you could look at yourself as a hub, and then there's going to be spokes, okay? And then have you thought at all about how you're going to, and then everybody else, by the way, is a hub and has a whole bunch of spokes. So have you thought how you're going to make those kind of connections?
I think, you know, one of the things we were going over earlier, one of the challenges with that is, first of all, to make the experience as simple as possible. So I think one of the ideas we had was Bluetooth connection. I know that there are, I read recently a thing, I believe it's called Fire Chat, or something, but basically what it does is you don't really need a network or anything. It sort of creates a network based on other people connected through Bluetooth through this app. So each person is sort of like a node in that network. And so it might be something that it has to be a very small range, but when you're within range of these people, they'd be on your network. And so it would say you have 5 friends and something like that, so that you don't have to actively connect me to my friends. So it's very simple.
One thing I want to add too was, we were assuming that there would be a non-watch component to it too. So you would go online and kind of, sign up essentially, indicate who your friends are, because those are things you wouldn't do on a watch. You wouldn't manage a social environment on the watch. You're supposed to be just getting these quick alerts, these quick glanceable alerts. So there would be a non-watch component to the concept, which would be a website.
One of the things you can do to connect with other people once you're going is the whole GPS and the timing associated with the GPS. So it's just an added technology.
Yep, that's right. I think GPS might work better than Bluetooth because of the range issues. And I think based on the trends also, I think the fitness app for a wrist-worn device is kind of like extremely apt, because that's what people really use the watch for. Mostly health and fitness apps do well. But again, I think in your case, the social influence and game mechanics is really awesome, because people get motivated by really challenging others with what they're doing and so on and so forth, which is awesome. But I think the biggest issue is so many people are doing fitness and health apps, so your marketing or the one problem that you're going to solve has to be extremely bulletproof. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely difficult to break the barrier in fitness and health apps.
Like Mario, I don't see the heart rate monitor. I know on my bike I have the computer. I've had it for 10 years. I have the little strap I put on if I want to monitor my heart rate. So I don't see that as earth-shaking. But the social component I do like. Again, hanging around with a bunch of bikers, they buy every technology gadget that comes out, and they always like to have the latest kind of gadget. So I can see some of those social components just in that area for runners and bikers just being really a hot item.
What's the name of the company? Or the
We have a name?
Let's call it Chica Inc.
Chica Inc. To our teammate. We didn't have a name, but that's something that we should think of right now.
So no name.
No name.
No name.
Yeah.
All right, we have Linda and her team coming up next.
We clap.
Thank you. I am Linda, and this is my partner, Hemshin, and we're representing the Blaze app. We're actually the sales presentation team. We're not the developers. So we just wanted to say that up front. Well, first off, the persona that we were working with is a young woman by the name of Celine, and she's a photographer, journalist, and she actually is a travel photographer. So one of her goals, of course, is she's capturing images as she's traveling all over the world, and she's posting those images. So that's not being done on the watch. She's already gotten that taken care of. She's getting them all organized in other software. But what she wants is a way to interact with her fans and her followers as she's going to different locations. So for example, say she's in Italy, she's in New Jersey. She wants to be able to connect with her followers and give them a notification that that's where she is, so that as they're traveling through, they're going to get a notification, Celine was here. It's going to motivate them to take some images. Maybe they're even going to go shopping in the town because she's blogging. She's using the voice mechanisms to actually talk about her blog, and that's what she's doing. So the 3 things she's trying to get done is her blog. She wants them to know her location, and of course she wants to make sure her images are up and running. In addition to that, this notification is going to serve as a type of Amber Alert to her her current fans. And eventually, this is going to translate into business where she's going to get more fans and eventually could be linked to restaurants for notifications for those locations. So I'm going to let my partner here give you a few more details.
Right. Most of the pictures and the blogs are written by her through other tools like a tablet or a phone. And as soon as the users of the app, when they download this app and install on their Wear, as they're passing around based on their geolocation, they can get notification on any of the restaurants or places that she blogged about, and they can actually see if there is a way to rate them. They can get a rating score, and potentially like a restaurant might be able to offer a coupon or something instantaneously when they're at that location.
And ultimately, this could point you back to her store. Thank you.
Any questions from the panel?
So this is essentially she's crowdsourcing her blog with her audience, isn't it?
Yes, it gives the audience a chance to add on to her blog. So she's blogging, and then they can add on, and that's going to just keep them engaged. So that's a part of it.
So
Yes.
who's going to actually monitor the content that is coming in? Because when she opens it up to, say, a number of her audience, like, they could be posting anything in return, or they could be, sending audio clips or content. Who's going to actually kind of verify these contents are all valid to be published in her blog? Is it going to automatically go, or is it some kind of an AI that works behind?
It may be a little bit delayed. I think we're going to have to take that back to the team and look at that a little closer.
Got it.
You're talking about the moderating the forum,
Right.
or the content, right? Yes, that has to be somehow automated, where the content is filtered
Right.
and targeted, that kind of stuff.
Because that's going to affect her credibility if it's not
Exactly.
properly done, right?
Yeah.
So.
While the mic's on this end. So is your assumption that that your persona, this photographer, journalist, has a lot of followers and is influential?
Yes.
Because if not, I'm just seeing just a lot of kind of useless information that comes out there from lots of people that just clutters up the social media. But if it is somebody that's really influential and they're traveling and they're in some little town and say, wow, that's a fantastic restaurant, and they're tweeting that out or through social media, tweeting, having that come to, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, or 1 million followers, then maybe that has value. But
Yes.
if everybody started doing this, it would just end up with a lot of clutter in my mind.
We think she's pretty well known.
So I would just get the app because you're going to start in Italy. I mean, if you start in Italy, how can you? Exactly. How can you go wrong? So it's interesting because what you're really looking at is like hyperlocal microblogging, if you would, and the component you're adding is that, okay, I'm here, I'm excited, it's really nice, and oh, by the way, I went to the restaurant, I like that restaurant, and maybe while you're at it, when you go to that restaurant, you get a discount because they're pushing certain advertisements or promotions, okay? So unless you have the followers that Dennis was referring to, it's really going to be a hard sell. And bad sailing too. So a hard sell primarily because you got to have a lot of boots on the ground to get to know what the coupons are from the different, okay? And I've seen others that are doing something similar, okay? One of the companies we invested in did something similar and it failed. So, but I think it's a great idea because you're adding, this person's already a blogger, a well-known blogger, she's going someplace, and this is a way of sort of letting her followers know where she is and what she's sort of thinking. So it's interesting if you can pull it off. I think it'll be interesting.
I like the idea. I like how the microblogging aspect and how it makes followers be able to, in the real world, be able to, actionable stuff on what she shares. So I think it's an idea that definitely has a place. I think it'd be great to have a prototype, and I think with wearables becoming more and more affordable, I mean that's going to be happening. So I think it's a legitimate idea.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, we have our final pitch from Dennis. And let's give him a round of applause for the final pitch. Woo! With Adam.
No. So we were given a personality of Jean. What Jean is, she is a volunteer. She spends most of her time working in Africa. She works for a not-for-profit organization. She is obsessed with hiking and camping. So what we liked, and she spends her free time, her passion and what she wants to do with her sabbatical from her time in Africa is to hike across New Zealand, helping local farmers. Something we do every day in Jersey. So not really our target market, but so this is what we're working with here. So we take this project, and we know it's a social survivalist app. That's what we've created, a social survivalist app that allows the user to go through and pin both private and social and public pins when they're moving this app through survival areas. So you have to realize they're away from civilization, they're out on their own, and they're going to be able to drop pins along the way. The key to the pins is the metadata that's tied to these pins. So it's not always the same type of pin. So obviously we're leveraging off GPS and a global positioning to know where they are. But we're going to use the sensors on the device. If the accelerometer says she gets up to 150 miles an hour and then goes to 0, we're going to have about 10 seconds for her to hit something, or we're going to notify people she probably just fell off a cliff. We're going to be able to track her heart rate. If her heart rate starts to go, if her body temperature starts to move, we're going to drop private pins along the way. So when someone gets lost, you can go out and find them. You can figure out how long do they have left to live. So you can see, search and rescue or recovery. Where are we at this point? So we're doing all of this with the smartphone device. So we're taking the app itself. It's going to need the smartphone. It's going to have the smartphone. But they're technologists, they're going out on their own, they're going to have the smartphone with them. The wearable just makes it simple to go through and tag and swipe. Now the social aspect of it is when anyone else has already been in your area, through the Waze API, we're going to be able to be notified that there's something of value here. There's something I want to know about. So you can get a quick notification, there's a picture of a gorgeous gorge, and you say, I swipe it to the left, because I want to see this gorge. Or I swipe it to the right because I don't care. So I'm moving on. You swipe it to the left, I get directions. Swipe it again, I drill a little closer. So this is all so it can tell me exactly how to get there. Why I'm not reaching back to my backpack because I'm not that guy that eats food and goes on survival. He's my guide. I mean, I'm hanging out with one arm on a rock cliff. So this is a social survivalist app. And that's what we're really focused in on. And we probably use it every day here in Jersey. So.
Amazing. Okay.
Take that up with the developers of the watch.
Having hiked sections of the Appalachian Trail, it's actually pretty common that groups go through, and more there's devices out on the trail. So I do think there's a place, hikers don't have tons of money, but there is a place for an app that will let them know which of their friends are further up. Right now, they leave paper journals in these huts and sign them. And so, yeah, I do think there's a social aspect, and there's definitely things they like to share on the trail. So, yeah, I think it actually could be used.
Well, that's what we envision. We envision a little bit of like geo-tracking, geocaching kind of thing with a hey, sighted coyote. So, you know, if they get the notification coyote's in the area, you get a little notification, a little picture of a coyote, you're like, ooh, let me hike a little faster through this section. Bears, you know, and it would actually use the number of times that it's been sighted. So if 15 times you've seen a coyote, it's like, whoa, I'm running my ass through this area. So it really will leverage in, and it's tracking and capturing that social data. And we'll some of that will be private. But most of it, why rebuild the wheel? Waze has a lot of it already out there for their API.
Interesting. So again, the social component of it, I think, is very important because with the technology aspects, the GPS, the distance, how far, you can always communicate that through either the cloud or, you know, not near field, but even Bluetooth is not going to work because you're going to be too far. But I think the social aspect of it, where you know where your other hikers are, that's assuming they have a similar app. Again, that's the problem with assuming some things, that not everybody has that app. Okay, but I like the idea because of the survival aspects of it. But earlier you said this person, Jean, she's in Africa, right?
That's where she works.
Oh, she's Australia? Or?
No, New Zealand is where she was going to be hiking through.
Okay,
So we actually had that in the private pins. We didn't get a chance to talk about that.
So I
we
was just
notified the
wondering-
embassy, actually. You tie in with the embassy.
I wasn't sure how she got from Africa to New Zealand.
It was on her. I didn't
know,
ask Google.
technology-
They gave us the sheet.
You can do anything. So I think it's a great idea. I think the survival aspects of it is very important. And it's a great idea. It's a good idea.
I do agree with Mario. I think this is the first time I'm hearing something like this, which is pretty intriguing to me. So what I would probably suggest is, like, you know, because creating a prototype is like, it's not really that difficult. And even if you could just validate this with a few hikers out there to see, you know, what's the probability of them using an app like this, would kind of give you a pretty good idea as to, you know, what the next step should be. Again, like, marketing is going to be a huge challenge. It falls under the fitness and the wellness apps. Marketing is going to be a big challenge. But I think I would definitely validate this with your target audience for sure. It's interesting.
So I understand you're given the persona of the survivalist hiking in New Zealand, but when you were talking about this, I mean, to me, the much bigger problem or a much more widespread application would just be you're walking in a beautiful little city or a little town on the Amalfi Coast, and you know, information comes up and you swipe it left or right, and you know, that kind of thing, which I just think is such a bigger market than.
Yeah, we would probably play it over the Waze, like right over the Waze API and do these pieces. I mean, but we were given Africa and
No.
and
I
fields.
understand.
We were even thinking, you know,
All I'm
coyotes.
saying is, you know, I just kept thinking that this kind of a permutation of this app might have a very broad audience.
There will be out there. These are going to come. And
Yeah,
basically,
right.
when you swipe your drill, as you like it more, it gives you more and more detail. If you
Right.
don't like it, you swipe it to the
Exactly.
right and you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Sputter has that, don't worry. Sure. Fire away.
You mentioned the Appalachian, yeah. You mentioned the Appalachian Trail. One of the problems that hikers, I mean, they usually do it individually, sole hikers, and it gets very lonely out there, okay? So something like this, that you're able to communicate with somebody that's a mile, 2 miles ahead of you or behind you, I think that's a great idea.
And that's the
It's
survivalist
a
piece.
comfort.
And not only people who are there now, you can communicate with people who have been there before and who are going to come after you. So that's the kind of where you're leaving that mark behind, especially when it's something of value.
All right.
So these guys are ready to build it. They said if you just give them, you know, $750 they'll have it done in like, you know, what was it? Within 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks they'll build it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for making that an awesome session.